part of what bothers me a lot. And we need to be doing that shit. Shadow, how are you this morning?
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I haven't been on for a while because this early in the morning because of work. um,
What's on your mind?
so I just want to respond to something that the last person you had up here on about like having debates in Greenwich Village and stuff and how TikTok reminds her of that.
Hmm.
Um, there are no debates on TikTok. There are just people
I don't
yelling.
think that's. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean,
Okay.
a debate has to be rooted in good faith.
Well, a formal debate is one person has a set time, another person has the same set time, and then one person argues an issue in the negative, one argues for the issue in the affirmative. That is actual formal debate. It's not what we see
No,
on
did you
TikTok.
ever go through any formal debate training?
Yes, and this is exactly what we learned in school. This was also um, portrayed in the Great Debaters movie. This is what a formal academic debate is. This
I
is
disagree.
these are the rules of a
I
debate.
disagree. I disagree. I'll tell you why. You can be on the same side of an issue, debate, just debate different elements of that issue. Now, if you're talking about a formalized debate would have a moderator. A formalized debate would have each side would have an opportunity to have conversations. We of course don't have that, but the entire thing has to be rooted in good faith. Now, I get accused a lot of not wanting to hear the other side, and I made it very clear I'm not going to let people spread misinformation. Now, I've studied Russian prop. I'll give you this as an example. This happened yesterday. I've studied Russian propaganda for a long time, long before TikTok existed. I know it when I see it. It's been talked about. I've studied people who've studied it. I've cited people who are experts in the field. For somebody to say that Russian propaganda doesn't exist is just crazy. So you can't have a debate with someone who's unwilling to level set on a position of fact. Now, you can have opinions around the data that's presented, but would you agree there is only one set of facts?
Well, that's what at least my generation learned in school is that you prepare for these things. A formal debate is not what we see on TikTok. Have you seen the movie?
I was damn good at it because you've got to be willing to be able to be flexible on your feet. But a true debate, if we're going to use the air quotes, would be a moderator. Questions would be asked. You'd be able to respond. That's just one particular approach. This is as close as you can get just because of the interactive model that is TikTok.
I just don't see it. Every time that I come on most of these lives, I see people just yelling and screaming at each other and cussing each other out, and that's not a debate. That
Okay,
is
I,
not
I,
a
I
debate.
agree. That's not a debate. So let's debate. Pick a topic.
Um, let's see. Geez, I mean, there's so many because we agree on a lot of things.
Okay, so what do you think we disagree? What do you think we disagree on?
I don't know what we disagree on, honestly. I really
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Um, okay. So then that would be an example of see, I would encourage debate for people who share the same ideology because that's how you kind of uncover it, right? To say, okay, universal healthcare, for example. Do you agree with universal healthcare?
Okay, let's take universal health care. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna argue against it. You argue for it.
Okay. So why do you not agree that we should have universal healthcare?
So one of the issues with universal health care, I mean, it is a great thing. It will provide health care for everybody else, for everyone in the nation, and it will help lower costs. The issue that I see with universal health care is you have people in power right now who has proven that they will meddle in in people's health care such as they will have access to their charts. They will deny health care for certain people of gender or certain people for gender altering operations or procedures or medicine. And when you have people in power who want to try to control and dominate other people by using these methods, I do not think it's the right time for us to have that.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, so you think that we have, you're concerned about people in power having too much power? I'm just trying to understand what it is that your claim is.
So we know that Republicans will, we know this for a fact, Republicans will meddle in people's healthcare charts. They will, we know that, I think it was in
They'd
Arkansas.
like to. Let's be careful saying we know it as a fact. We got to make sure that
Okay.
we
So
that would be not a that would be a disingenuous debate tactic.
not necessarily because the attorney
We
general,
have examples of some Republicans wanting to invade people's privacy. Would be a better way to say it. Would you agree?
the attorney general in Arkansas was going through people's charts to make sure they weren't having gender altering care. That's been proven.
Right. Okay. Again, but that would be an example, right? So let's get back to the question. So my counter to that would be to say there is already so much corruption in the United States healthcare system because we know as a matter of fact that by 2027 we will as a nation spend $5 trillion on our healthcare annually, with the system and those providing care will be making around $1 trillion in profit. So my argument would be let's remove the corruption because the corruption is at the hand of the providers. We have a system, Medicare, for example, that is a very efficient system because there is no administrative costs in between the care and the patient. So my model would be universal health care based on the Medicare for All model, removing corruption from the system and focusing on care. Prior to the 80s, our system was a not-for-profit industry. I'd like to go back to that model.
Okay, so how do you get rid of that corruption when the people who are in power are the ones making it corrupt?
The people that are in power are the insurance companies. They're the ones that are in power. So my argument, again, would be to remove them. Do you know what collective bargaining is?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine a system where 340 million Americans have the collective bargaining power to change the system. Therefore, the government, like they do with Medicare, the government negotiates on our behalf with pharmaceutical companies, which is part of the Inflation Reduction Act. That put pressure on pharmaceutical companies to lower the cost of life-saving drugs. So if it's the corruption that you're concerned about, if it's truly the corruption that you're concerned about, the corruption is in corporations. We tend to think that the only corruption we have in our society is in the government. Now, do I believe some government officials are corrupt? Absolutely. But if we were to compare corruption in corporate America to corruption in government, would you agree that the corruption in corporate America far outweighs the corruption in government? Would you agree with that?
And my rebuttal to that would be
Well, that's just a
that,
question. Would you agree with that?
stated again,
Would you agree that when we compare corruption in corporate America to corruption in government, that the corruption in corporate America is significantly higher?
I think they're, I think personally they are, and from what I've seen and from what I've read, I think they are very intimately connected together.
Okay. Again, that's a disingenuous debate tactic because you can say
Why?
from what I've read, that would be anecdotal. There's no way to debate that topic because that would be just an anecdotal example. Now, the factual example that I will give you is the insurance industry in our country, again, will hit $5 trillion in profit annually inside of 3 years, and they will get $1 trillion in profit part of the business model of that industry is to deny claims. So, is that corrupt? Or we could look at Medicare, which is a government funded healthcare program that is extremely efficient because it cuts out all the middleman. It goes from patient care to treatment. The exponential layers of cost on insurance is because of everybody in between. Patient goes to the hospital, and then there's 50 people. I'm being a little bit facetious, but so many people in between that are taking a piece of that pie. People are billed. If you were to look at the retail cost of a procedure, I have personal examples of this. Had some issues with my hip a year ago. The cost, because you could ask for itemized breakdowns, the cost was like $3,000. By the time I got the bill, it was 3 times that. Now, again, where's the corruption?
Like I was trying to say before, the corruption is really, it's not just the corporations, it's also the people we have in power in
Okay.
government because they work
Okay.
together. Because we see this in other
Exactly.
issues. Like we see this with the fossil fuel industry. Okay, let's take West Virginia for example.
Let's stay on
They
healthcare.
have
Let's stay on healthcare. Okay. So
okay,
because
let's stay on healthcare.
because if again and see we're having a debate. Okay, just proving your point. We're having a debate. Let's focus on healthcare. Right. We have government. Right. Government. All right. Providing tax cuts for corporations. Corporations led by some of these CEOs who are taking advantage of these tax breaks without regulation. Right. Not providing care for the patients who pay, for the customers who pay, their premiums and their out-of-pocket copay. So again, government, again, I'm not sitting here saying that there's no corruption in government. But at the end of the day, right, it's the corporations ultimately decide how they want to deliver their programs and services to their customers. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So then,
However,
okay, wait,
here's
let me just finish this point. Okay, so let me just finish this point. So if the corporations are taken out of healthcare, if they're taken out, if they're removed, if they're not part of it anymore, and then the body politic, us as consumers, we have the bargaining power. Medicare for all expands across everyone. We're not worried about the middleman. We're not worried about administrative costs. So we remove 80%, 85% of the corruption. Now, it's not to say there won't be any, because there's always corruption. But let's be real. We know the corruption exists in corporate America. We know it. We know it.
so my question is you would sacrifice for us to have a for us to have like a universal Medicare system. However, Republicans can determine what care you receive and what care you do not receive. You would rather sacrifice that because they will look into your charts, they will look and see if it's appropriate or not, and they will control basically the type of care you receive. You would
No,
sacrifice that for 340 million Americans.
that's not reality. Just because government
We're living it right now,
well
man.
let,
That's the
let me
thing.
let me just explain. Okay, do you think, because would you agree that Medicare is a government funded healthcare program?
It is.
Okay, do you think Republicans are looking into people's business who are on Medicare?
I mean, we already saw that with what happened with Roe v. Wade. We already saw that.
That's different. I'm asking you specifically. We have Medicare. Okay, we have Medicare now. You and I agree that Medicare is a government funded program, right?
Yes,
Okay, so do you think Republicans are looking at people who are on Medicare now?
they don't have. How can I put this? They don't have.
The answer is no. I mean, the answer is no. You
They
know the
don't
answer
have
is
the
no.
legislative power to do it right now.
They wouldn't have it under universal health care or Medicare for all either. It would still be protected under HIPAA. They could attempt to try to change HIPAA laws, but that's an entirely different conversation.
But HIPAA laws is tied to healthcare. That's what I'm saying. They will
Not
do
just
that.
healthcare, not just healthcare. It's mental health, a whole bunch of things, right?
Well,
But
okay. See, this is the thing. That is mental health is not separate from healthcare. It's all combined. It's all healthcare.
I would agree it should be vision, dental, end of life care, gender affirming care. I would believe all these things should be covered under universal health care.
Yes.
I think maybe I'm missing something, Shadow, but I think what you're saying is that you're concerned that government will change HIPAA laws. And if we had universal health care, that would then mean everybody's privacy is on the chopping block. Is that fair?
Yes, and we're seeing that actually happen. There are court cases right now in West Virginia, Idaho, and I forget the other state. I think it might be Ohio, where they're trying to get rid of the EMTALA laws. They're trying to get rid of HIPAA laws. They're trying to get rid of all these other things that protect our privacy as citizens. And
I
that's all
understand.
part of healthcare. That is all part of healthcare. That you can't separate HIPAA, you can't separate EMTALA, you can't separate Roe v. Wade and say these are segments that don't apply to the healthcare industry, but they do. They
Okay,
apply to
but
the healthcare industry very importantly.
okay, so if the question that you're asking me is, and I'll assume that you're asking me this question in good faith, would I rather have a society that prioritizes the health of its citizens over the fear of something that Republicans in Congress might do? Then the answer is unequivocally, I would prefer healthcare. I'll
That's
take my
not kind of
take my
where
chances.
that's kind of where I was going with this. It just seems
I'll take
like
my chances.
you're risking the the fact that 340 Americans would not be
Million
able to
Americans.
choose the health care that they need
Why wouldn't they be able to choose it?
because
Why wouldn't we?
because of certain people in power who want to limit that. That's what they would do.
Again, though, we have models that work. Medicare for all, right, which is what Bernie Sanders has been talking about from the 80s. Do you know, like, are you aware of how Medicare works?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
a nurse. I work in healthcare, and I know
Okay.
how
So
all it works.
so
In
you get
fact,
it.
they just a couple years ago they allowed for Medicare allowed for patients to, and this really, this is, I mean, this is a side comment, but it's important. They allowed for people who were on Medicare to refuse discharge if they felt like going home would cause them more harm than good. If they felt like that they're not fully recuperated, and insurance companies started picking that up, which is kind of interesting to think about it.
Okay. So you worked on the practitioner side. I worked on the insurance side. Okay. So Medicare, the model for Medicare, and I don't mean to repeat myself on this, but everybody, please keep tapping and sharing, please. I appreciate that because we're having a debate. Um, Medicare is an extremely efficient program because it cuts out the middleman. And that's where the cost is. So, again, the question that you asked me is, would I rather have everybody in our country guaranteed health care as a basic human right over the fear of something that might happen? Yes. And the answer is yes, I would, without question.
Okay.
Because we already have, because there is so much corruption now, right? Can we agree that I don't know if you are
Yes.
being sincere in your statement, but the overwhelming corruption in our Medicare system, in our health insurance system, is in corporate America. How else could we point to an industry that's going to have $1 trillion in profit with a business model that is intended to deny claims? I know this firsthand, okay? The health insurance industry, part of the reasons I don't work in it anymore, is that they have their P&Ls include claim denial. So if that's not the epitome of corruption, I don't know what is.
No, I know
Medicare,
that they actually have.
the Medicare model doesn't. Could there be some corruption? Sure there could. But we also know that their priority is care. The healthcare industry is not, that's not their priority. Their priority is profit.
No, I know I know what you're saying, know where you're coming from, because insurance companies, they hire people who
Rick Scott, exactly. Somebody said
look
that
at
in the chat.
charts,
Rick
and
Scott.
they
You know,
try to say, okay, this wasn't necessary, and deny the care based on that. And yeah, that's wrong. Um,
yeah.
at the
So there's
same
no.
time, though, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily fear. I mean, we are at the place where this is actually happening, where rights are being taken away to people's health
Again,
care.
rights are being legislated away. I'm talking about care. Okay, I'm talking about care, access to health care. Now, I completely agree with you that first of all, I think it's disturbing that we do not we claim to be the greatest country on earth. We are so far from it. We are first in healthcare cost, 42nd in outcome. Okay, is that not corruption? Right?
It is. Well,
Okay.
let me ask this.
Well, hang on one second. So first in cost, 42nd in outcome. You ask every country on earth, right, if they would ever give up their universal health care. They would complain about it. Sure, everybody's going to complain about it. People complain about our system all the time, but they're never going to give it up. Never.
See, here's the thing I do want to, there's a couple things here. One thing I do want to have contention with is we do have, in all honesty, we do have one of the best healthcare system. I'm not talking about insurance, healthcare system, hospitals and stuff like, and things of that nature. One of, I'm not saying the best, but one of the, at least the top 10 facilities in this nation. The problem is the insurance companies, yes. But I know for a fact, because Cleveland Clinic, I used to work for Cleveland Clinic. Cleveland Clinic has hospitals all over the world. They have they have at least one in Canada, in Toronto. And people who need heart surgeries, they have to wait months. But Cleveland Clinic, they can take them as a patient, move them over to the States to have the surgery, have it in a couple days or a couple weeks.
That's just not true, Shadow. That's just not true. Okay.
I
So listen, my guy. Listen, I've had people that are in the Canadian healthcare system who are doctors and are also part of the administrative process, and they've all said to an individual that no, if there's emergency surgery, you're not waiting. Elective surgery, is that any different than it is in the States? If you need to get, if you've got an ankle issue or an orthopedic surgeon, is it any different than what you do now? You don't you have to wait. If you're under the impression that you're denied, you use heart surgery, which would be pretty damn serious. That's just not the case. They're not waiting for that. They're not.
well, I'm not talking about any emergency situation.
You said
If
heart, that would
somebody,
be emergency, right?
what,
You said heart, wouldn't that be considered emergency?
heart surgery is not necessarily an emergency.
Heart surgery is not emergency?
Okay, so
Really?
if you're getting a heart cath, that's not necessarily an emergency.
Okay.
I'm just
So
using
that
that
would
as
it be elective?
it's considered elective. Yes,
Okay, then you would wait, much like you wait now in our system. What's any different? Why is that any different?
because there is a, from my understanding, there is a major shortage of specialty doctors in other nations, so such
There's a
as
shortage of specialty doctors here.
not as much. Now, I do agree that there are some, like, for example, I do know that there's a shortage of nephrology physicians. I know that for a fact.
Again, please be careful with that statement, okay? You can't, unless you can say definitively, again, a fact checker in a debate would call you out on that to say, you just made a statement that is, you're claiming that you know that for a fact. All right, we can't say that unless we can back it up. All right? Shadow, come on back. Shadow, come on back, bro.
Yeah, just hang on a second. I'm on my phone. Hang on.
Can we just go back to the conversation? We don't have a fact checker here. I'm just actually asking you to just as a debate strategy, you can't make that's a proven fact, right? That's what a fact checker would do during a debate. Okay? Okay. Just stay with me, all right?
I did just look it up, and there is a huge shortage of specialty doctors in Canada.
We're not in Canada, we're in the US. Okay? So again, there's shortages of physicians everywhere, right? We know that. Specialty physicians are, I mean, I live in a rural state, and I had to go through some stuff with I had some kidney issues a while back, and I had to wait. I had to travel to go see the specialist. And that's not uncommon. So if we're the fundamental difference between other countries and ours, we all have shortages of physicians. We all have wait times. It's no different. And I think we've got to dispel this myth that these things only exist in countries that have universal health care. It's just nonsense. It's just not true. The only difference is those countries have decided that they're going to prioritize the health of their citizens, and our country hasn't. Period. I don't see how there's any, I don't really see how that's refutable. And I have said this from the beginning. If you can make an economic and or social argument against universal health care, then I will delete my account and you'll never see me on TikTok again.
You can't make an economic argument against it.
Of course you can, because there is none.
You can't. I agree with that.
Exactly.
However, it's more than just the dollar amount. It's more than just that. It's also making sure that people, because I mean, from my perspective, like I mentioned before, Roe v. Wade is healthcare. Okay.
Agreed.
In many states,
Roe v. Wade
women's health care has
Roe
been.
v. Wade. Let's just be clear. Roe v. Wade was privacy. It granted women the right to have control of their bodies. It wasn't specific about abortion. It was about privacy.
Right. And now what you have is OBGYNs leaving states like Texas and Arkansas because they feel like they cannot practice because of the laws.
I agree with you. That's different though than what we're talking about, access to care.
Okay, I don't see how that's different because we're taking away people's right to a specific form of healthcare that
again
a certain party is meddling in.
I completely agree with you. I absolutely, completely agree with you. Other countries have rules and regulations regarding access to reproductive care as well. That's a different conversation, though, right? That's a different conversation. We're talking about the healthcare system and the arguments for and against, universal healthcare. From my perspective, it's Medicare for all. I wish people would talk about it that way because that's the best model, the one that's the most efficient. Now, again, if a state passes a law that we've already seen that women don't have access to control of their own body, which is just fucking ridiculous to even say, then sadly, that would not be covered by universal health care.
Which again limits people's ability to choose the health care that they need.
It does, because that would be the law. But then there's everything else, right? What's the number one cause of bankruptcy in our country? Do you know?
Well, it's not medical debt because that's not
It's
medical debt on credit scores anymore.
It's medical debt. Number one cause of bankruptcy. I didn't say credit scores. I said bankruptcy. The number one cause of bankruptcy is medical debt. I think it's 10 years running now. Again, a system that's built for profit. $1 trillion in profit inside of 3 years. $1 trillion, Shadow. $1 trillion. Again, I'll say it again. $1 trillion in profit. It's medical debt. The reason that our costs are so high, aside from corporate greed, which is the biggest reason, is because of the amount of people that are uninsured. We all pay for people who are uninsured. Again, and let's not pivot towards immigrants. We're talking about even our own country, our own citizens.
I'm not going to pivot towards that.
I know you're not. I'm just, a lot of people do. I'm a small business owner. Okay, I insure myself and my 3 children under Obamacare, under the ACA. It's ridiculously expensive, but it's my only option, right? It's my only option. Sadly, we shouldn't be in that position. We should not be in that position. There's so many examples how we can find little nuances here, nuances there, But we've got models. Every single country around the world that has universal health care, their society, they're better. We have a friend on this app who both of her parents at the same time are going through pretty serious medical events. They would be bankrupt if they lived in America. Bankrupt. So sure, I agree. Women should have full rights to their fucking body. None of my goddamn business. But I will stand as an accomplice with them in their fight to get it back. It doesn't change the fact that we have a system that does not support our citizens. And Medicare for all is the answer, in my opinion. That's a debate. You see? It's possible. And are you truly against universal health care?
No, I'm not truly against universal health care. What I said at the beginning was one of my major concerns is a certain party holding so much power that it takes away the rights of citizens to have the care they need.
Well, again, it's because that particular party is in bed with corporations and CEOs who are setting healthcare policy. My argument, again, to that is to say, if we take those CEOs and we take those corporations out of the process, then we don't have to deal with that anymore. It's gone. Tomorrow, you can walk to your doctor. You don't have to care about the cost. One of the other reasons why our life expectancy in our country is getting shorter is because people don't go to the doctor, my guy. Because they can't handle the cost.
See, I guess I have a different perspective because what I see is that Medicare is a government program, and if we have certain people, yeah, it works, but we have certain people in power, they will limit people's access to health care because it's a government agency. In fact, they're trying to cut it. They're trying to cut it.
I know they are. I know. I understand that. I know they are because they are in bed. Again, you're kind of walking into the point, okay? Why do you think Republicans want to limit Medicare? Why do you think that is?
Again, it goes back to my perspective that...
No, let's just answer this question. Why do you think Republicans want to limit and eliminate and cut spending to Medicare? Think about it.
Because they want to limit people's access to care.
No, they want to force people to have to use corporate health insurance, private health insurance, so that the corporations can get richer. Think about it. Why else would it make sense? You've got an incredibly efficient Medicare system that provides quality care to the people that are on it. It's not just elderly people, it's people that are infirm, people that are disabled, people who have access to it. Why else would, again, the same billionaires in government now who will take advantage of corporate tax cuts and subsidies, billionaires that are connected in many cases directly responsible for these healthcare companies, why then would Republicans want to push money away from Medicare, forcing its citizens and in some cases their own constituents to have to get on private insurance? Does that make sense?
From a certain point of view, but I just think so. This is,
but that's what they're doing. I mean, there's no other reason why. So,
let me tell you, if there were certain people in power right now, I would be all for it.
There are people in power right now that are part of the problem.
If the Republicans were not in power, I'd be all for this.
Okay, well, we've had models in the past, but it's always Republicans voting against it. Don't forget, the ACA was provided so much more coverage to the average American. But the Republicans forced Barack Obama to get the legislation across the finish line, forced him to peel a whole bunch of shit off. It's better than it was.
Right, I understand the politics of it.
Well, the approval ratings for the ACA used to be under 20%. Now it's like pushing 60%. So the majority of people that are on it support it. What are you so afraid of? Honestly, what are you so afraid of? I guess here's a simple question. Who do you trust more? Corporations, CEOs, who, by the way, in the last 20 years, average CEO profit in our country has increased by 1,500%, which is 400 times the average lowest wage worker in their organization? Do you trust them more or do you trust the government more? And please don't say
I
neither.
mean, and do what?
Please don't say neither.
You say, who do I trust more?
Yep.
You're talking to someone who doesn't trust any of them. That's
Okay,
the
well,
that's the blatant truth.
you just proved my point, my friend. You just
Why?
proved my
I don't trust
because
anyone. I want this whole thing to
I
burn
okay,
down so we can
I
rebuild
understand that.
better.
I understand that. I understand that, but that's not how it's going to work, right? We have to solve the problem. We can't just say, okay, let the whole thing burn down. Okay, so when it burns down, like the phoenix, if our society is going to rise from the ashes, how do we solve, in my opinion, the two biggest foundational things that need to be addressed in our country is wealth and income inequality, the education system, and healthcare. To me, those are the three most important things as a society. So
You
how do we address healthcare? Once
you
the system
use
burns down, how do we address it?
you use the imagery that I love. By the way, I use that all the time.
Okay.
We've been here before. We've been here before, and we built back. We built back stronger.
When were we here before?
It, After the Civil War.
Okay. A little different. But again, so if you want to burn it down, we've got to
I
replace it with
was
something, right?
about the general concept about about this, not anything specific. But
Okay.
yeah, we've been here before, where we built back from the ashes.
But again, what's the solution? So if we start from scratch, all right? So I'm giving you the magic wand, Shadow. You have it. We're going to only focus on the system is now burned down. We're starting over. We've got healthcare. How do we solve it?
I mean, we do what we both said is right, is the universal health care system.
Cool, great.
I
Then we
mean,
then we
that's
agree. Thanks for debating. Then we agree. So if that
well,
if
we
that's your
agree
if
on
that's your
that
end
point.
game,
We
right?
agree.
But we're still going
Yes,
to have
we
a
agree
political.
on that
But
point. But I'm
but we're
saying
still going to
right
have a
now, the
political
way
system, right?
things are,
But we're
I'm
still
just
going to have a
saying right
but
now
we're
the way
still going to have
things
a
are.
political. We're still going to have a political system, right?
Well, we have to. I mean, there's no way out of that.
Okay. So if we're still going to have a political system, can there be corruption in the political system? Absolutely. Of course there can be. People by nature are corrupt or corruptible, I should say. So here we are. You've now got the opportunity to rebuild our society. I would lean in and say we're gonna fund the shit out of public education. We're gonna overfund it.
Oh, I agree with that
We're gonna
wholeheartedly.
address income inequality. We're gonna cap price gouging. Do all these things, and we are gonna guarantee access to healthcare. If we're gonna be America first and the global leader, then I want the best damn healthcare system in the world,
This
and we
is why.
don't have it.
This is why I didn't pick education, because I mean I think we are both on the same page on this. I think the best education in the world are countries who have a centralized system of learning where people learn basically the same thing. I mean, when I was in school, people knew when, people our age, and when I was in school, we all learned the same thing. We all learned why Russia was our sworn enemy. Well, we learned why we fought World War II, why we fought the Civil War. We learned what tariffs were. We learned all this just in regular history class. We didn't have to have history and civics and blah, 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 and so on and so forth.
Right.
We just learned it in history class. And we need that type of system instead of the states allowing
Okay.
the well,
I agree.
allowing the control of the
Okay.
curriculums.
Okay, we've come around a lot, and I do want to move on to another guest, but let's do this. Would you agree that we had a debate?
Not a formal one, but yeah.
Do we have a moderator?
No.
Okay, so if
I
you're
see it more
if
as a discussion though than a formal debate. That's the thing.
well, it's not. I would agree. It's not a formal debate, but it's as close as we're gonna get because I mean I've been invited to debate people where I've given the opposition the ability to choose their own moderator in their own platform, and I have literally destroyed them in their own space. So this is as close as we're going to get.
And we
So
did a good job ignoring the comments. But
I, I
I do want to say one thing about a comment here about Republicans. Republicans are who dumbed down the school education. Yes, I agree. This was, in fact, this is Mitch McConnell's plan for over 20 years.
Of
You take
course.
away funding from the states,
Pack the courts. Yep.
and you keep people basically dumb
Yep.
or uninformed, and they'll vote Republican. That was
Correct.
McConnell's plan since he's been in office.
Correct. So where we landed is that you believe in the Medicare for all model, right?
I do.
Okay. And you believe that you trust, I know you don't trust either of them, but I'd like to see if I can get you to answer. Do you trust corporate CEOs more or the government more?
In good faith, I cannot answer that because I don't trust either.
Okay, so you don't have a solution then, because you're going to have to trust one or the other.
I don't have all the answers, no.
No, well, you're good because there is no other solution. It's either the government, which again, we have countries that have a model where their government does provide health care for their citizens, and it works. And every country that has it, their outcomes are better, their costs are lower, and their citizens are happier. So why
I
not
mean,
use that model?
yeah, I mean, and to ask if trust, oh, get myself in trouble here. To ask if you trust government or corporations, I know government is more of a broad term, but like I voted for Biden because I voted for democracy. I voted for him because
I get it.
I followed his career since I was 16 years old, and I trusted his decisions. Okay, and I trusted that Harris was the best for our democracy.
Yeah,
Because
she was.
I didn't vote specifically for Biden. I voted for the ticket in general. Okay.
So Shadow, Deb's got the best comment, and this is what I was thinking. She said, "You can't be ruled by fear. Universal healthcare works. It happens in other countries, and that's what I think too. And I do want to move on, Shadow, but you can't be ruled by fear. Ultimately, we have a system where our education system's been underfunded. We've got a wealth and income gap that just grows and grows and grows, unregulated, and we've got a society that's not healthy. And if we want to make changes, we've got to stop being ruled by fear because that's exactly what the right wants. They
It's
want us to be afraid. So, but
right,
thanks for jumping in today.
and one quick comment before I go. I don't think it's about fear when I'm actually seeing this happening in hospitals and seeing it happening with people who have the care. Let me give you an example real quick. I took care of a homeless person over the past couple days,
Okay.
and the doctors wanted to give him a medication that would lower his blood pressure, endanger his life because his blood pressure was already low because of a heart condition. And I just felt like they just want to control the heart rate just to get him out of there.
Again, because
We
but
see
that's
this
the system.
happening.
But that's listen, I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on to somebody else. I was in a system that my daughter is a two-time cancer survivor. I've been public on this app about this. She's healthy now. But if I was not paying attention, there are things all in all it cost us close to $1 million. If we did the itemized bill for everything from the 2+ years that she was in treatment, it would have been close to $1 million, okay? And that's because it's a machine. They are patient counts, bed turnovers, the amount of people involved in a treatment. Those are all the things that people who do not pay attention just accept as our system. And my argument is we have to stop accepting it. Thanks for being here, Shadow. I appreciate you. Have a good day. It's possible to have debates on TikTok. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's a profit. Hi, Eve. Thank you for coming up.
Yes, of course. I figured you might need a break after that.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like I said in my note to you, I seem to have two different versions of Discord. So I don't respond to direct messages, and that goes for everybody. My apologies.
No worries. I got you. Well, hello, everyone. I'm here to remind you to please support our fabulous host. He's here every day bringing you facts over feelings because facts still matter, and they always will. So, if you have the means, please help Fax meet his gift goal. Throw a Delulu his way. And you can also find pay apps in the link tree of his bio. Also, the merch store and Discord links are there as well. If you're a sub, you can get 10% off merch, as well as access to cool emotes and sub only events. But if you're not a sub, you're really missing out. I encourage y'all to join the Discord server. It's a fun, free forum for the Facts family to frolic. And if the link doesn't work, just reach out to a moderator and we'll hook you up. Now, if you haven't already, please click that heart me next to Fax's name up at the top to join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day, and it helps to keep us relevant and on the FYP. As I mentioned, there is a gift goal, but we'd love to reach it. If you can't help, no worries. We just ask that you interact in the comments as well as tapping your little heart out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. If you don't have any friends, just click the copy link. It works the same as a share, and no one will be the wiser. When you have a moment, also please head over to YouTube and subscribe to Facts Still Matter there. Also, like a video. The subscriptions on YouTube are free, just like following your favorite creators here on TikTok. So I recommend doing that when you have a chance. Now, before I bounce, I want to throw a little shout out to our mild-mannered, merry moderator with the model motif, Moth. Y'all know Moth is not only our friend, but a loved member of our community. He's got a GoFundMe running and the info is posted in the mutual aid channel of the Discord. I just want to stress no amount is too small. It all adds up, y'all. So with that, I'll say be kind, smile at a stranger, and have a fuck your feelings kind of day.
Thank you, Eve. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like fanboying and looking forward to your flight attendant type of announcement. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate you for being here.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome.
See y'all later.
All right. So I think hopefully you guys, the whole point of that conversation, and you guys know that I have absolutely stood 10 toes down the fact that our society is failing itself. It's by design. We don't need to go through that exercise anymore about we know corporate greed exists. But I think what we saw is that I know Shadow deep down inside does believe this, but because the indoctrination of fear has crept in, that's now what we face, right? We're there. He's afraid, doesn't want to trust anybody. I get it. I understand. But we've got models that work, right? We fail in healthcare. Again, number one in cost, 42nd in outcome. Number one in cost, 42nd in outcome. I think that says it all. Paula, you can request if you'd like. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Appreciate y'all very much. Teddy, looks like you might have timed out, friend, but please feel free to request again. All right. Hey, we have a California friend here. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm okay. Yesterday was kind of problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of wind here in Ventura County. And Edison, which is our power company, is a little paranoid in my area after the Thomas fire several years ago. So even when the wind dies down and there's really no fire around us, they keep the power off. Because it was downed transformers that caused the Thomas fire due to winds. So
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I
Different
know.
Transformers.
We
Gotcha.
yeah we've all made those jokes.
Sorry.
But I appreciate you and several other people reaching out to me to make sure things are going okay. And for me, they are. But I just saw a piece of video right as I woke up of the Pacific Coast Highway
Yeah.
and all
Crazy.
these homes.
Malibu, Pacific
Yeah,
Palisades,
Malibu, just gone,
gone.
just gone. And I
Yeah.
know, uh, you know, I know you're coming out here next
I am.
month. And, hey, we're gonna have some really lovely sights to show you. It's gonna look like Dresden.
Yeah. I mean, I know Obi's okay too. I reached out to him yesterday. He said it moved northwest from him. He was describing that, the 8-lane highway being a bit of a fire break. So he
Yeah,
was feeling pretty confident. But yeah, I mean, and I said this to start the show, the fact that this has become politicized, and even our first guest who jumped in this morning blaming this on DEI, it's just disturbing.
wait. Somebody
Yeah,
blamed it on DEI.
correct.
What kind of a fucking idiot? Never mind. Never mind. I know
Yeah,
the answer.
Yeah, well, that's my actually. Obi, if you want to come up and let us know how you're doing, I'm glad to see you here. But yeah, I mean, think about an opportunity, like to show leadership, maybe show leadership to say, we're really sorry that this has happened. Of course, he blamed it on Biden, blamed it on Gavin Newscum, as he likes to say. He made these here. I'm going to bring up Obi, so we can have a convention of minds. Listen, for those of you, I know all this sexy is going to be overwhelming you with Rusty, myself, and Obi at the same time. But listen, I can't control the sexy. I'm just letting you know.
And
Good.
we're all on fire, so hey,
Hey now, literally.
tripling down on the sexy.
How you doing, brother?
Well, it smells as if I live in a barbecue joint right now.
But you're good,
They
right?
have been dropping. Yeah,
That
they've
smells
been
good.
dropping. Yeah, they've been dropping fire retardant, and are going to do so again today. So there's a lot of particulate in the air. So we got to walk around outside with N95s on. And it's still 0% contained. The Eaton fire, which is the danger zone, is only 3 miles from where we live. So in the living room, we have everything still packed up in a couple totes, ready to go. People can't use their water in their homes, even if they have a filtration system, because of the amount of ash and the strain that has been put on the plumbing system. So for those that are blaming Gavin, one, it's an infrastructure problem that the infrastructure bill hopefully will get some money to fix. Two, if any other state has a mass conflagration like this, your plumbing system will fail too. It is absolutely impossible with aged systems to be able to handle this. This is not about a lack of water. This is not about beautiful water flowing through the state of California. People don't understand that from the bottom border to the top border is 797 miles. Everybody else lives in a state that's the size of my fucking shoe. You folks have no idea the depth and breadth of the things that we face when there are fires here. The fires are larger than some of the counties that folks live in. Our fire that's 3 miles from us is now 10,900 acres. Put that into square mile perspectives and then look at where you live before you come up here and chirp about what our government officials are doing and get fucked with that bullshit. You have no idea. You folks that live in red states suck off the tit of the United States of America until it's drained and then complain about the blue states. What I would like to see is Governor Newsom say, I'm sorry, federal government, for the next year and a half until we get our state fixed, we can't send you any federal tax dollars. Then let's see what happens. Right? Because we can take care of our own, and we should. And what we shouldn't be doing is contributing to federal programs that constantly get poached by red states and then have to listen to people like Trump talk about stuff that he doesn't know. Trump doesn't know anything. He literally is the stupidest person on the planet, and you all elected him. Congratulations, MAGA.
Well, now let's be honest. He had that brilliant idea of raking the forest,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
which
By the way,
we've never implemented it.
right. Also, the Prime Minister of Norway or Denmark, I can't remember which one it was, he came out immediately after and said, I never said that. So Trump made up that whole story, right?
Of course he did.
Yes, there is forestry management. And yes, we are attempting to do it. But you know what? It doesn't matter about forestry management when we have the largest power line system in the entire United States, and all of those high tension wires are bare aluminum. And when they slap together in a windstorm, they spark. And that's most of the time what starts these natural disasters here. And PG&E is committed, I don't know how many billions of dollars to fix that problem. But again, folks, what I would really love for MAGA to come up here and do, especially these fucking self-proclaimed Christians, which I know is bullshit. I want you to think about the families who have lost everything and have nothing, like nothing. Whatever they could shove in a car, that's what they now have.
Right.
Where the fuck is your compassion? Where are you stepping up and going, he's fucking hot as shit and he's super intelligent? And that fucking frightens you. Because you know what? When he runs next time, you guys are fucking done. Because he is going to run for president and he's going to fucking crush you. Because you won't be able to debate him. The last Republican that tried to debate him ended up looking like a fucking idiot. By the way, where's the governor of Florida now? Who pays attention to him and his fucking lifts in his white rubber boots? What the fuck was that all about? Right? You guys are a bunch of fucking clowns. You're scared, soft, and weak. You're grape apologists. You're fucking fake Christians. You're willfully ignorant, and you're anti-American. Get fucked. This has been brought to you by Spicy Obi-Wan. And that's right, goddammit. I am wearing Old Spice swagger right now, so suck it.
Listen,
You know, brother, I wish you'd stop sugarcoating things and tell us how you really feel.
I just want to know, like, again, you know that I'm going to bug you. Like I said in my note yesterday, of course, I'm a phone call away if you need anything. But you said it was 0% contained. Now, are you still in the danger zone, or are things like looking better?
We are still 3 miles outside of the danger zone, the 210 highway. And yes, we say because our highways actually have names. That's how grammar works. Get fucked, MAGA. We also use pronouns in the state of California. So the 210 kind of acts as a break point, right? And they've been able to establish a line. And even where there are the danger zones where people have been asked to bug out, that doesn't mean that there's necessarily destruction there. They're just trying to establish lines,
Okay.
right? Break lines. So I'm going to go outside here in a little bit. If I can, I'd like to pop up later.
Sure.
But I got to go get my N95 on and go walk the dog. And I want to try to see if I could take a couple pictures so people can see what it looks like. But do follow the news, because what Rusty pointed out is I don't recognize some of those roads, because when I drive, look at landmarks. They're all gone.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love you guys. Rusty,
love you too,
I'm glad
buddy.
you're okay. And thank you for letting me be spicy,
Anytime.
because the three of us here, there's only two things that can happen. Either brass poles show up and we start dancing for dollars, or we need bodyguards to fight them all off.
Or both.
Well,
Hey, now,
I'm,
I mean,
I'm
like I
leaning
said,
toward-
we can't control the sexy. I don't know. I mean, it's just a curse. It's a curse.
I'm thinking we're dancing for nickels, and they're going to throw them at us in rolls.
We would actually have to pay others
Yeah.
us to dance.
You know, you said something, Obi, that I kind of want to chime in on when you use the term bug out. And I know a lot of people know what a bug out bag is, but for anybody, and this goes for all over the place, but especially here in SoCal, if you don't know what a bug out bag is, you really should, and it's not too late. You could purchase a fully assembled bug out bag from different vendors, but you don't even have to go that far. I've got 3 or 4 bug out bags in the house. I went to a thrift store, bought backpacks, brought the backpacks home, hit sporting goods stores, hit the dollar stores, and got first aid kits, basic camping like whistles and compasses and things like that. Just real simple stuff in case we gotta blow out of here. And $100 in $1 bills. because you don't want to have large bills on you in case a store can't make change and you're
Cash is
trying to
king.
buy more water, things like that.
Right.
A couple rolls of quarters. Your medications. My medication lives in plastic ammo boxes so that I can just grab and go. Thomas Fire,
Pet food, dog food, cat
pet
food.
food,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Things that you would need to survive in your car for 3-4 days.
Right.
And canned goods. I got a box in the garage full of canned goods, and a can opener, because you don't want to forget that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true. You
but
don't.
yeah, but and you just have it sitting in a corner,
Right.
unobtrusive. You don't worry about it, and then the moment you get a word to evacuate, your important papers should be in a fireproof, carry-on safe, things like that. Um, when the Thomas Fire hit right around here, we had National Guard at the end of my street, and this was right after I'd had foot surgery, and I was laid up. I couldn't go anywhere until the absolute last minute, and that sucked. But yeah, feel free, folks. Google is your friend. Look up a bug out bag. What should you have in it? What shouldn't you have in it? What's a waste of time? And something that you can grab and go, so you and your family are viable for a few days. You're going to lose stuff, important, unimportant, doesn't matter. But you got to make sure that you and your family are ready to rock and roll and get out of there. So
Both of you, please keep us posted. I know, Rusty, you said you're kind of outside of that zone, but Obi, you're still, still around you, and no one likes to hear the fact that it's 0% contained. But obviously, please keep us all posted.
well, even looking outside, I don't have fire around me right now, but even looking outside, everything is red and gray. So, we're in it. We're just not near the flames. So, and yeah, Obi, brother, be careful.
See if I can expand this. I don't know why I had that same issue before. I can't make this screen larger. I don't know what's going on. There's a big time TikTok glitch at the moment. Let me see if I can do it this way. No, it's not letting me change it. Oh, he left. Sorry, buddy. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I was trying to trying to get him on the big screen. I can't. Oh, if you want to come back up, bro, we can hook you up. He disconnected. Let's see if I can. Will that work if I do it this way? No, I don't. For some reason, I lost that ability to expand the screen. I don't know what's going on there, but hey, man, keep us posted, Rusty. Okay, buddy?
Absolutely. And you keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Yeah, this is again, does it have to be fucking politicized is the whole point. Jesus, can we just, just respect people who are suffering? Music can heal your soul. How are you today? Music, are you there? Music can heal the soul. Are you there?
I do.
Hi there.
Yeah,
How are
I'm
you?
here.
Hi there. What's on
I'm
your
good.
mind?
Listen, I'm up here in Canada. Just thought I would send an invitation to the good people of California who are tired of sending the money, the tax dollars from the fourth largest economy in the world to help out the red states. If you'd like to join Canada, I think you guys would fit in very wonderfully to an incredibly liberal country like ours.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I'm assuming you're not in favor of becoming the 51st state. I certainly wouldn't.
No, absolutely not. Um, I, this is just Trump has to be the center of attention for everything, and I mean So what he did even before he becomes president is just sends out these bizarre statements. I'm sure that during Jimmy Carter's funeral today, he'll
Yeah,
find some way of making it about him.
of course he will.
He
Yep.
makes everything. He is absolutely committed to being the center of the universe. And
Yeah, let me ask
unfortunately,
you a question, musician. I'm curious about Justin Trudeau's resignation. I was thinking that, and the questions came up in the chat. How are you feeling about that?
well, I was actually around. I just turned 70 years old. I was around when his father was prime minister,
Sure.
and he actually resigned, and he came back a couple of years later, and he was reelected. Um, I think Justin Trudeau has got a very strong political instinct. I think that he may be back. I think right now there's just this unease in in Canada that they want change. It's happening all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's who it is. The by-elections have all gone to the conservative parties, but people actually the opposition guy Polyev is nobody. They're looking for an excuse not to vote for this guy because he's a maple MAGA. He's just a little Trump. He mirrors almost everything Trump says, and he is able to garner the religious people in Canada. But Justin Trudeau is going to be fine. I mean, but we also have the
I'm
Liberal
just
Party.
worried. I'm more wondering your opinion on it. Do you think it was the right
Yeah,
time for him to do that, or do you think it's something that he put country over himself? Like, what do you think? His future aside, we don't know. We can't predict the future, but what are your opinions on him resigning?
yeah. If you remember what after the the debate, it took a long time for Biden to finally concede to say that he was not going to run again. And this for Justin Trudeau to resign, it took a long time. He was hearing
My guy,
a lot.
can you please just try to answer this question for me? That I have to move on. What are your
Okay,
thoughts? Do you think it was the right thing for him to do? Yes or
yes,
no? Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
He could not win the next election. The
Okay.
polls are just devastating on him.
Okay. I appreciate you jumping in today, friend. Thanks for being here. You have a
Thank
good
you.
day. All right. Bye.
God bless.
All right. So Obi, again, friends, for those of you who are out in Southern California, I would just ask that, this includes anybody who's looking to blame anybody for anything. Can we just stop with the fucking nonsense? Literally our first caller of the day tried to say this is a DEI issue and how pathetically disingenuous that actually is. But it is what it is. That's the world we live in. Let's see. Savornin, how are you today?
Thanks to ask. Everything is okay. How about you?
I'm okay. What's on your mind?
Well, I think I know why there was these huge snowstorms and maybe also these Californian situations, this unbalance what we have these solar systems works and physics they can't understand gravity and they don't understand that this kind of alignments works hard if it is straight line if it have to be straight that line and
Okay. I'm not doing that. I don't have enough tinfoil. Batman, how are you today?
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind?
Steve, you have this. You always have the topic about the weakness of MAGA, and I totally agree. From my perspective, I come from the perspective of consequences. The mentality that they have. Um, and I say this from my own personal experience. I was kind of MAGA before MAGA was cool. The mentality of the toxicity of the masculinity that we try to portray. And many of them are suffering some type of consequences of relationships, of jobs, of finances. There's a severe consequence to this type of a I don't know, what would you call it, the personality, the identity.
I call it a cult.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, but it's just, I think that's where a lot of the anger comes from, is because there's a lot of unforeseen or how do I put this up? It's early. I haven't had my coffee, but a lot of unseen consequences, or a lot of consequences that they just don't want to realize in their own personal lives, and so
Yeah.
their whole identity is just to be angry and blame everything and everybody.
And they've always been like that. So people that are surprised, people that are, because they've been told that they're the victim, because
Right.
white men in America are scared, soft, and weak by and large. They're fragile. They claim to be these tough guys, these alphas. Without, in my opinion, I'm old enough to be able to say this. White men in America are the weakest, softest, most cowardice group of people that I have ever met. They will literally stand there and complain about everything. And again, it is all men until it's no men, and they personify that point every single day.
Well, and you know, Steve, even within the Hispanic community, we have a lot of that misogyny. And it took me years and years to, of self awareness of failures in relationships and failures of, finances and jobs because of this type of an attitude or this type of a mentality. And it's something that you can't, how do you say, you're not going to be able to escape it. You're not going to be able to escape those consequences until you start changing those things. And some of
Yeah,
it,
yeah. I mean, I appreciate that, Batman. We've got to stop trying to figure out the why. We've got to stop try to come up with reasons or, excuses or, stroking their hair.
right,
They are
right,
the reason. It is white men, a system created by white men to support and benefit white men and their anger, their fear, their cowardice, their grape apology, their fake Christianity, their willful ignorance, their anti-American sentiment has taken over our country. And
right,
we have to fight back. Period.
right.
Stop. We got to stop making excuses. We have to stop making, criticizing. Again, this is a call out to the left in particular, the entitled left, the people that didn't
Right.
show up in 2016, the people that didn't show up this year. How fucking dare you? How
Right.
dare you? You make this selfish, lack of representation vote because of your feelings. That's one thing the right has been right about, is that factions on the left are all up in your feelings too. How fucking dare you?
Yeah,
How dare you?
I get that.
Batman, thanks for jumping in today, bro. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
We have a return of Eve. I'm going to take a quick break. Thank you, Eve, for jumping in.
Well, I'm back, y'all, to remind you to please support our fabulous host and magnificent mayor of Maple Manor. He's here every day bringing you facts over feelings, because facts still matter, and they always will. So, if you have the means, please help Facts meet his gift goal. Throw a Delulu or two his way if you like him, or if you don't. You can also find his pay apps in the link tree of his bio. Also, the merch store and the Discord link are in there. If you're a sub, you can get 10% off merch, as well as access to cool emotes and sub only events. If you're a sub, you can get 10% off merch. And if you're not a sub, what are you doing with your life? Get on it. I encourage everyone to join the Discord server. It's a fun, free forum for the Facts family to frolic. If the link doesn't work, just reach out to a moderator. We'll hook you up. Now, if you haven't already, please click that heart me next to Fax's name at the top. You can join the team for the cost of a penny. You can do this every day. It helps to keep us relevant and on the FYP. As I mentioned, there is a gift goal, but if you can't donate, no worries. It's okay. We just want you to interact, tap the screen, tap your little hearts out. It's always free to tap and share out the live. If you don't have any friends, it's okay. Just click the copy link.
So
It works the
sad,
same as a
though, if they don't
share.
have any friends. It'd be so sad they don't have friends.
Well, maybe they're here trying to make some friends, and I encourage y'all to do that. Let's see. Also, when you have a moment, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to Facts Still Matter. The subscriptions on YouTube are also free, just like following your creators here on TikTok. So when you have a chance, do that. Just want to end by saying, please be kind, smile at a stranger, have a fuck your feelings kind of day.
Before you leave, Eve, apparently you got a proposal from the chat. I'm just saying. Someone really appreciates you very much. Perhaps even more than we all do. I'm just saying. It's out
Well,
there.
I appreciate that because I was in the middle of vacuuming. So
Thank you for
that's
that.
awesome.
I appreciate you very much, Eve. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Bye bye.
Bye. That's pretty sweet. Listen, we know that in what 11 days, the future that apathetic voters handed to us and people who chose to believe lies, rhetoric, hate speech, and bullshit have handed to us. I was called out in the chat earlier saying, why am I just on TikTok every day? Well, I'm not just on TikTok every day. I'm a small business owner. I'm a single father. I've raised 3 kids. I've been involved in my community my entire life. And I do things to try to help other groups. The question I would ask is, what are you doing? And this is for everybody. This is for everyone. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your ideologies are. What are you doing? Again, this is a call out to the left. Stop being so damn entitled. Stop being so lazy. Stop thinking having a bumper sticker on your car is sufficient to fight back against democracy, in defense of democracy. Stop thinking that just going to a rally with a pride flag is enough to say that you're an accomplice to that community. Stop saying that you support women's rights and don't do anything about it. Have you ever called your legislators? Ever written a letter? Ever gotten on the phone with someone? Ever gotten in somebody's face? Ever pushed the envelope? Ever got outside of your comfort zone? I'll bet you the majority of people that listen to me every day haven't. So I'm asking you to do that. Protect your peace, protect your safety, of course, but we've got to stop thinking that someone is going to do it for us. And do it yourself. Stand up. Fight for something. Find a cause. What we've seen since the election, actually within the last 6 months, whether it be the Luigi example, whether it be striking Starbucks workers or striking Amazon workers or striking ski patrollers, all these kinds of things, people fighting against it. Is that the start of this? Is that maybe like, you know what, I did a live right after, the day after that Brian Thompson was unalived, the CEO of United Healthcare. And I asked that question, like, is this the beginning of the revolution? Like, I don't know, right? I don't know. I don't know if it is. But what I've seen is people starting to realize, even some loyalists on the MAGA side are realizing, like, wait a second, why the fuck are we going after trying to get Denmark to give us, or to invade Greenland or Panama or Mexico, or, fire missiles towards Iran? Weren't we promised that our grocery prices are going down? Even if it was 2% of you scared, soft, and weak grape apologists, fake Christian, willful, ignorant, anti-American people, even if it was 2% of you to finally wake the fuck up and listen to what we've been telling you for decades. The party that you simp for, that loves so much, does not give a flying fuck about you. It's not that the Democrats don't deserve criticism, because they are. Because they're apathetic too. Moderate Democrats, I'm fucking done with the whole lot. Done with them. Done with them. We have an opportunity here to fight back against the shit that we allowed ourselves to get twice. Apathy on the fucking left cost us in 2016. Say what you want about Hillary Clinton. I would have voted for her, and I did vote for her. People didn't show up. People didn't show up this time either. 200,000 votes. Thank you. 200,000 votes over 3 states. 200,000 votes. Oh, she just really wasn't progressive enough, or, G-side, and I haven't heard her speak out against Palestine or against Israel, blah. Give me your fucking tears and stuff them in your fucking ass. Your entitlement, your self-righteous bullshit, not doing a damn thing to fight back, and yet you complain about it the loudest. Miss me with your bullshit. You go to these fucking rallies. You claim you're on the left. You claim you're for liberal ideas. You claim for being progressive. You're not fucking progressive. You wouldn't know what progressive was. Progressive is taking chances and taking risks and pushing it and forcing it and getting in people's face. Do you ever spend time in right-wing lives? Do you ever go over there? Do you ever challenge it? I mean, it's just, I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm so tired of it. Your apathy and your laziness cost my daughter rights to her body. Your laziness, your entitlement, your arrogance cost dear friends of mine who are in the LGBTQA community rights to fucking exist. Your laziness, entitlement, and apathy is going to give us a Supreme Court that is ultra conservative for the next 20 fucking years. Man. Iowa, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks, man.
Good.
What's on your mind?
Well, I was on earlier in your live. Had a orthopedic appointment for my knee, but on my way home now. So, just a couple things real quick. First of all, thanks again for doing everything you do. Always enjoy listening to you.
Appreciate that.
So, much appreciated. A couple things real quick. One, I 100% agree with you that apathy is our biggest weakness. What's going on over in the Middle East underneath Biden and Harris, it will be worse under Trump, so congratulations. The other thing I wanted to touch base on when I was going into my appointment, Ben, your other panelist you had up here earlier, you were talking about Christian nationalism. And I just wanted to point out that's been around a lot longer than just in what he said, our lifetime. And I would point out the fact historically, if you look at what happened prior to and during WW2, ironically, the Republicans tried to overthrow the government then as well. It's just, unfortunately, they picked the wrong guy to lead the revolution. It was a military man that was loyal to his oath to the Constitution. So they picked the wrong guy. But this is not the first time that they have tried to do this. But I will also say that certain rich families in this country actually supported the little mustache man, even to the point of wanting to bring him here to give him asylum.
Correct.
So the Christian nationalism movement is long rooted in the USA, unfortunately. So
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to point out that slight inaccurate, not trying to call him out or anything, but that was unfortunate.
No, I think he knows that. I just think he was trying to focus it on how it's really been pervasive in our body politics since the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't there prior. We all know that. But it really became the shift.
Okay.
The shift politically was the influence of the evangelical right, specifically on the Reagan administration. That was his point.
Got it. Okay, I misunderstood then. It makes sense that saying it became much more prominent since the Reagan era. I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that was his
but
point.
I just also the last thing I want to point out.
Go for it. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, that would make his point completely valid. It's just when I heard "in our lifetime," I was like, no, it's a little longer than that.
right after that. But Iowa, thanks for your support, bro. I appreciate that. And just goes to show you that Patriots fans and Chiefs fans can get along. It's not easy, but we can get along.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry about your coach, by the way, but I thought he was actually doing okay. But
We suck. I'm ready to move
maybe
on.
you'll get Vrabel.
Maybe. Thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate you very much. You have a good day. Be safe out there.
You can root for my Chiefs. You can root for my Chiefs this year.
No,
You can root for the Chiefs this year.
not going to happen. Talk to you later, man. See you later. Bye. He touched on something very, very important, and I had this queued up, and I wanted to talk about it today. It's this concept of isolationism. So, if we think about what the America First model is, it's rooted. The weird part about it is that by design, is what he's told his voters, is that we don't want to be involved in anybody else's business. Why are we spending money in foreign countries? What about our own selves? What about our own citizens? What about our own society? And then we know America First has history with the Triple K in our country. Charles Lindbergh had talked about, America First. There's elements of America First translated to German, if you know what I'm talking about. So I pulled some data on comes from. Specifically, we know that Woodrow Wilson, World War I, post-Depression era is when we started to see isolationism in the U.S. Is the context of World War II refers to political stance in the U.S., particularly prevalent during the 30s, meaning that the country should focus on its own domestic issues and avoid entanglement in foreign wars, essentially staying out of wars altogether. This sentiment was largely fueled by the devastation of World War I and the Great Depression, and then was actively opposed by Franklin. Despite strong isolationist sentiment, the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 dramatically shifted public opinion, leading the U.S. to officially enter World War II. I share that with you because the America First model is not now what we're seeing when Trump and his allies are now supporting American expansion through military means, military and or economic pressure, right? Putting economic and military pressure on Denmark, Canada, Mexico, Panama, all these things, right? And he's not denied it. He said, no, I'm not gonna take that off the table. So this goes back to H-1B visas. This goes back to immigration policy, right? When they've literally come out and said, we don't think that our workforce, including MAGA, are not bright enough and hardworking enough to do the job. We want immigrants to do it. So another lie that you've been told. Look, I don't know what the hell we're going to do. I don't know what's going to happen with all this, but I know that we're not going to stop talking about it. We shouldn't. I think that there's chances that, actually, I found this, you guys know who Adam Kinzinger is, right? Let's see if I can find this interview. I think it was really fascinating. Do I have it? Did I not pull it? Because he talked about this. If I can't find it, I know what he said. He was talking about, like, what do you think is going to happen? And his response was, well, it's one of two things. It's either the government is just incapable and incompetent and can't do shit. Oh, here it is. I got it. Here you go. This is great. I like Adkins.
The second Trump term is. Do you think the second Trump term is going to get? Because I've heard everything from he can't really do that much. There's institutions in place to get ready for, the Fourth Reich.
Yeah, I mean, we're not at the Fourth Reich yet, but like, I do believe that it's going to be a mess. And my hope is, this is the best case scenario, is it's just a government that's incompetent, right? I really am concerned about Ukraine, for instance. What does this mean for Ukraine? But the worst thing is if it's not an incompetent government, if it's really a move by him and his people to seize power. Now, look, I think there'll be an election in 4 years. I don't think we have to worry about that. But the damage that's going to be done to the guardrails and institution could be long lasting. That's what I'm concerned about more than anything. And I'm also concerned when you cross these red lines of things that you never thought politicians would do, and they do it. Now other politicians cross those red lines, and eventually you cross too many.
That's the point for me right there, right? It's that we now have crossed these lines that we all took for granted. The small d democratic guardrails that were put in place that they've completely just forego every single day. No acceptance of the rule of law. Trump complaining on Truth Social about the weaponization. This is the best one yet. This tells you exactly what it is that we're talking about when it comes to his belief about how he's been the target of so many things. If I can find this one right here. Is that the one? No, hold on. I'll find it. Do I have this? Right here.
Because I did nothing wrong. By the way, I did absolutely nothing wrong. If I did something wrong, I wouldn't be standing here right now because I've won all these cases. Nobody's ever won so many cases as I have against the Justice Department.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. The cases that have gone to trial, right? The civil fraud case, he lost. That's the funeral. I don't want to cover that.
How bad do you think the second Trump term is going to get? Because I've heard
Sorry about that. The cases that have gone to trial, okay, the civil fraud case, he lost. E. Jean Carroll defamation lawsuit, he lost. New York hush money payment, he lost. He managed to avoid getting convicted because he would have been convicted in Florida because of the Mar-a-Lago documents case. His hand-picked judge who wants to be on the Supreme Court and likely will probably get a pick because of Alito and Clarence Thomas resigning because of the favors that she's done him. That case got dismissed, and the January 6th case was pulled because of presidential immunity. So he literally stands there and tells you that I have won. Nobody wins more cases than me. And now we know that because, again, Merrick Garland has no spine. We do know that he is sued and asked the Supreme Court not to allow the sentencing to happen tomorrow. He's going to lose. I'd be surprised if they even take that case. He is, again, a convicted felon who lost that case. Convicted felon, always has been, affirmed by the judge. He'll be sentenced tomorrow. MAGA voted for an adjudicated sexual predator and a felon. Okay? Merrick Garland, again, back to that lazy, self-entitled bullshit attorney general, is only going to release so Jack Smith, I think we talked about this yesterday. Jack Smith filed his special counsel report, which is required by law as part of him ending his tenure, much like Robert Mueller, much like Robert Hur, much like John Durham. All these people, they had to submit the report to the attorney general. I understand in the Mar-a-Lago's case that's not going to go public. I get it because Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira are still being investigated for that crime and likely will go to trial until the Trump Justice Department dismisses the charges. So we'll never see the evidence in that case other than what we saw in the indictment, sadly. So the public will never get to see that. I get it because as it sits right now, those two are still, because it'd be prejudicial to release information about two defendants, right, in advance of a trial, potential trial. I get it. I understand. I get that. The documents case, or the J6 case in D.C., that is going to be released. We are going to see that information. We're going to see all the crimes committed by Donald Trump as it relates to attempting to overthrow our democracy. Seriously, that's all going to come out. Somebody just said, will it get leaked? It may. I don't know. Who knows? It might. It might get leaked. Well, if it doesn't get leaked, though, and in 10 days, we'll never see it again. It'll be on the dustbin of history. So if you're innocent of all these crimes, as he claims, then why not let it go to trial? Why not let the public see it? Matt Gaetz said in advance of the ethics report, there's nothing to see. I've done nothing wrong, because he thought his Republican cohorts were going to protect him. They didn't. And it went public, and we saw it. So we now sit in a world, to Adam Kinzinger's point, where all the democratic norms have been thrown away. The guardrails are gone. We've elected a person who's the most corrupt president in our nation's history, without question. It's not even close. Poor legislatively, poor morally, bankrupt morally, has continued to lie to his voters, enriching himself, right? Speaking of enriching, I don't know if you guys heard this. Okay. We know about the grift, right? In 2 months since the election, President-elect Trump has urged his nearly 8.5 million followers on Lie Social to buy limited edition guitars that bear his signature and the Trump-themed fragrances that, quote, ready for this, represent winning. An $899 gold-plated inauguration edition was recently added to the line of Trump watches, and his nascent sneaker brand is now offering footwear featuring a state-by-state map of his electoral college victory. Guitar, perfume, sneakers, and a new $899 gold-plated inauguration watch. Post-election sales pitch illustrates just how closely Trump's personal business interests are entwined with his politics, but less than 2 weeks from taking the oath of office, the Republican billionaire and the Trump org have not offered details to the public on how precisely they intend to wall off those varied interests, which range from hotels, golf clubs, and licensing deals to a new cryptocurrency venture from his job as president. So far, Trump has transferred his shares in Truth Social parent company into a long-standing trust of which he is the sole beneficiary, according to recent filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission. His older son, Don Trump Jr., is the trustee. Ethics experts say those steps fall well short of the blind trusts and divestitures from private businesses that are required to be the president. And there are the signs the Trump org will erect fewer limits on its activity than it did during Trump's first 4 years in the White House. His son, Eric, who oversees the company day to day, has said the company will continue to pursue business opportunities overseas, dropping a self-imposed prohibition on foreign deals the company said was in place during the first term. Anyway, you get the point. Violating all norms. Nobody gives a shit. They don't fucking care. And because our system, and because we have the worst attorney general, arguably in history, who dragged his feet, didn't want to rustle any feathers, didn't want to say, we want to make sure the Department of Justice is independent. Well, we didn't have that failed miserably, didn't it? It's crazy. I don't know. I'm angry, in case you couldn't tell. I'm motivated, but I'm angry. What's up, friend? How you doing?
What up? Hey, I'll try to keep it quick. This guy lies to us. He lies all day, all night. I don't know how this is allowed. I don't know how he could just lie about things with every word he says, and we let that happen. So a lot of these Republicans and MAGA say, why are we making such a big deal? Why don't we just, get together, unity, all this and that? Because he doesn't want us. He makes it clear every day. He doesn't want anyone that opposes him in his Truth Social posts and everything else. He doesn't want us as support or to get in line with them. The California wildfire shit is disgusting for him to go on and say that FEMA's out of money already, causing some conspiracy theory so that he can say he's going to come in and save it. And we're going to, we need to continue to just call out his bullshit, to stand up and hold him accountable and all his people accountable for things that he does not do. Last thing I'll say, since I'm monologuing here, is a couple people were asking for what they can do in to contact their Congress or contact whoever and what to say specifically. There's an app out, and Victoria Broderick talks about it a lot. It's called Five Calls. It's an app on Android and for iPhone that you download, you put in where you live, and it tells you exactly what's going on in your area, how to contact, who to contact, and even what to say. So that's a great way to do that and contact who you need to contact and put apathy aside and actually fucking do something. I think I'm done.
Exactly, brother. Thank you very much. Constituency services, every elected official in government, federal elected official has a constituency services organization, department. Their sole responsibility is to respond to their constituents. Do you know the number? I mean, I talk to people on the left that don't even know who their elected official is. So let's stop being lazy, friends. Let's start fighting back. Thank you, Fish. I appreciate it.
It's called Five Calls. Five calls. Number 5 and calls.
We'll post it in our Discord. Thanks for being here, bro.
Later.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Later. Okay, he's back. I don't know if I have the ability to give a big screen yet. It looks like I still might. I don't know what's going on with TikTok.
So I'm glad that you're equally as spicy this morning, because I feel every once in a while you need to let loose, right? And please don't apologize for being spicy, because the stuff you said about those on the left with their litmus tests has been going on since Gore ran for president, if not probably before. But in my mind, that's when it really started and started getting obnoxious, right? And for all of those who were like, oh, I can't believe what Israel's doing, ignoring all of the history, not understanding the history of the Palestinian Arab people and how other countries have dissed them, right? Jordan being the main culprit. Saudi Arabia's up there, right? They have been a punching bag since the 1930s, right? You want to give yourself the big screen because I'm on the big screen. That way people can see it.
I just gave you the picture. I'm posting the picture.
Right, it's on. No, but I'm on the big screen. You're on the small. You're in the small box. Your box is small.
I can't change it for some reason.
Oh, there you go. You just did.
Okay.
Now it's your background. So that's just an example of what our air is like right now, and that is all smoke. So if you do live here without an N95 mask, if you have long COVID or you have any kind of other lung issues, please make sure you have an appropriate respirator on. The Weather Channel will tell you the level of particulates in the air. Normally, it's like 1 to say, maybe 15 on a really bad smoggy day. Today it's 180.
Wow.
And I think that's like parts per million. That stuff always boggles. I need an actual scientist to break that down. But it's really bad. It's so bad that in the air you can see the ash falling. And so it's really dangerous. And if you have neighbors who are older than you, and you claim to be a Christian, whether you're MAGA or not, please go knock on their door and check in on them. See what kind of needs they have, right? Because depending on what zone they live in, they can't use their own water right now. So maybe you could go to Sam's Club, Costco, wherever, and start getting your neighbors water and some food, right? Specifically, foods in cans are best because they're sealed and they won't be impacted by anything. But we need to see more.
DJ Tony, my brother, thanks. I was thinking about you. I know you're in San Diego or south there. I just saw you making that you're housing some friends from LA. Thank you, brother, for doing that. I figured you would step up because you're a good man.
Yeah, hats off to DJ Tony. And also, if you do need a musical palate cleanse and you are not following DJ Tony, one, fucking shame on you.
Seriously.